So over to you, ma'am. So you can just start the session.
Yeah. Not working. So with my apology, I will start now. So my name is Anvita Bajpai. I will be talking to you today about this topic, admixing AI and human intelligence for your business. Like just now you saw the demo that we are trying WebEx and then it's not working and Sushma is continuously guiding me. So it's a mixing of AI and human intelligence. So that's how we are. That's where we are today. And just to give a brief about myself, though Sushma has already said that I'm founder of SunvAI, author, and I also hold a chapter deputy director position at Bangalore Alumna Association for Bangalore chapter. And at SunvAI, we have recently launched one of our solution, which is India's first AI-powered assistive tool for consumers. So check it out, and I will go to the next screen. Yeah. So you can see agenda, right? Yeah. So today we will cover AI, what is AI very briefly, and why AI. And then we will talk about AI in your business. And just because we have diverse background in the audience here, so we will broadly cover various market segments and business sectors. And then we will talk about expectations versus reality in AI. So we'll talk about that, and when we say if there are expectations where we expect that AI should work perfectly and sometimes we see that there are errors in the outcome, then how do we design solutions, right? So we'll talk about building AI-powered solution, and we'll talk about these principles which are about responsible and explainable AI. And then the journey of your business, when you are talking about implementing AI in your workplace or in your business, and in the end we'll keep some time for questions. So going to the next slide. So we'll talk about AI. What is AI? So as you can see in this screen, so the definition is like when we say machines are intelligent, they can take some decisions by themselves. That is a basic definition of AI. But just to make it a little more clear, if you see this picture where you see there's a wall, there's a door, there's a curtain. Now if I ask you, can you identify? Most of you will say yes, we know. You can say color, you can say window is half open.
I'm sorry to interfere. People are complaining that audio is little this thing. They're not able to hear properly. Though I can hear here at my side. Can you just move closer to the mic, ma'am? Yeah.
Yes. Is it better now?
I just asked the participants, please type in chat window if you're able to hear ma'am's voice. But my side it's better, ma'am. Actually, I'm able to hear.
Okay. Is it better now?
They're saying it's not clear. Yeah, some said yes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm very close to the mic actually. Yeah. So can you hear me now? Yeah. So I'll quickly repeat what I said. I just broadly covered the point in agenda. That these are the points that we'll cover since you already read it. So now we are talking about what is AI. So by definition, if machines are intelligent, they can take some decision. We say these are intelligent machines, and we call it artificially intelligent because this is not natural intelligence that humans or animals have. Now, if I talk about this picture that you can see on your screen, there's a wall, door, window. If you see, you will be able to identify all the components. You will say curtain is flying, maybe air is coming from inside to outside. You will be able to come up with so much of understanding about this picture, right? But if I say, can you write rules? Can you write rules to identify this picture? Then if I say still if there's some problem in audio, can you type in the chat window?
Ma'am, they are saying it's audible. Audio is clear. Yeah, someone said audio is clear and it's better.
Yeah. Okay, I think for some of the people it's not working. Yeah. Okay. So if I say, can you write rules to identify various components in this picture? Then probably it will be very difficult for you to come up with set of rules. You cannot say if there's a blue color or there's a yellow color, then it will be wall, or you cannot say if the height from floor to maybe some component is this much, then it depicts the wall or it depicts the door, right? So you cannot come up with those kind of rules, right? So you can understand, but you cannot define. Probably you can say, okay, door is typically rectangle, but people can come up with curvy kind of turning, or a curtain tomorrow we can change, right? So it's very difficult to define rules. So if we talk about this kind of scenario, this kind of real world data, as I'm talking, right, you can understand, or maybe some of you cannot, and you are saying that my voice is not clear, right? So up to some extent you can make out, or even if voice is not very clear, still you will be able to make some sense out of it, maybe with a combination of what you can see on the screen and what I'm speaking. With that background, if we cannot clearly articulate tools for any real world data, we say we are using AI or any kind of analytical techniques to identify or to make sense out of data, because this is data, right? So there are two components in any of the AI algorithm or any of the AI system, basically. One is data, other one is algorithm. So why AI? So here I will very quickly show you some of the numbers or data, or so basically I will be taking you through various screenshots where various reports or survey numbers are published by other agencies, other organizations. And if you want any further details, you can message me and I can share the link. Though the link is already there in the screenshot, so you can see, and I will very quickly take you through. So I will not go into details of these numbers. This is just to understand why AI, right? Because one thing we have already detailed, that we cannot write tools, and second, why what is happening in the market. So though you already know some of these things, but just to put things in perspective, to put it together. So now when you talk about industrial revolution, and these are like the major years in the history of mankind. Why major years? Because these years, or the kind of disruptions which happened around technology or with technology, they changed the way humankind lived or behaved. So first, industrial revolution, if you see, in 1984, with invention, when steam engine was invented, then after that, suddenly people had the power that they can move around, right? Which was difficult otherwise, right? So then people can move easily, and then a lot of events happened as a result of that when we study history. In 1870, again, when we talk about Industrial Revolution 2.0, we see that, okay, mass assembly line production, and when that was a major milestone in our history of humankind. In 1969, when early computerization, again, we say it's a major milestone, because earlier, say, even for writing a simple draft, if somebody is writing a book, you have to type it so many times, you have to write it manually, but with computer, you can edit it so easily, right? So it brings a lot of ease. And then today we talk about Industrial Revolution. We are in Industry 4.0. And now, given COVID, there's another layer added, which is COVID-related changes that we are perceiving. So obviously, there's a difficulty that all of us are feeling constrained, and people have experienced difficulties, and some of the people have even lost their loved ones. But at the same time, when we talk about digitization, when we talk about digital enablement in organizations, it has accelerated the pace. It has accelerated the pace by up to 6 years, 5.3 years, as per this study by IoTnow.com. So, very quickly, if we just see what is the percentage of data increase by devices. This is a report published by and it says from 2019 to 2020, you see 30% increase. Next, if you see data spike in US households, again you see this is published up to month of June, and you see there is a spike. You see the numbers are increasing. Going forward, we see global digital population as of July. So in July, you see that active internet users, active mobile internet users, both are above 4 billion, and these are in billion. And similarly, similarly, when we talk about social media, so again we see numbers above 4 billion users for all these sectors. And then again, as per this study, which is done by Lomo, you see that from 2014 to 2020, there's a almost 50% rise you can see in internet population growth. And this study also suggests that almost 60% of the population is on internet, right? So this is the number. And then what happens on internet in every minute? So just to put a few major stakeholders here, if you talk about Netflix, 400,000, more than 400,000 hours of video is streamed by users every minute. This is happening at least every minute, right? And then if you talk about Zoom, 200,000, more than 200,000 participants in the meeting. If we talk about WhatsApp, more 41.2 million, 41.7 million messages are shared every minute. And so this is the data. And now next point is, has it come only today? Is it only with Industrial Revolution 4.0 what we are seeing today? And has it only been accelerated by COVID? Just to see. So please pardon me for the quality of this image. This image was used for one of my talks in 2002. And in this image, you see, I have highlighted, there's a red highlight. So that was the time when CD-ROM was new. It was a very new concept. And suddenly you see, with invention of CD-ROM, you had the power of carrying about 7 1-meter bookshelves in your CD-ROM, right? So that was like major breakthrough if you talk about early 2000, right? And then again, if we move to, and this is again, the slide is talking about the numbers in the study, comparative study in 1992 and 2000. Again, you see, it was giving a hint in rise in digital enablement, enabling digital modes of accessing data, using data, right? You see that the red circle, if you see how use of radio is being decreased, how recorded music, the percentage change you can see, and you talk about home video, again you see the rise. So these were the early signals. And let me pause here and say that when we talk about AI and machine learning, and some of you who come from the background will know that this is not something new. The initial research has started more than 50 years ago, but the only reason why we talk about AI today, not only because of digital acceleration which has taken place in past couple of months, but also because the enablement of cloud, the compute, the infrastructure, which was not available earlier. So if I talk about early 2000, because this is a picture where we are talking about in the year 2000 and early 2000, that was a time also people were doing research in this area, but they were not, because internet was not so popular, it was not so accessible, you didn't have cloud, so people, more of these solutions were phone language. So they were not accessible by common man, by people, by masses, right? So now, again, just to take you back 2-3 years ago, so you see these are the solutions which are already built. So Google is more than 20 years old company, right? So not that AI has come today. I mean, Google has been using a search algorithm ever since, right? Facebook is more than 10 years old company. So Facebook has been using its algorithm. But now more and more use cases you can see, more and more applications you see are being utilized, being coming up, and more people are understanding, or just because they are becoming data rich. Because earlier not everybody was having digital form of collecting data. Now just because you have data, you see that, okay, I cannot define rules, I cannot make sense out of this data. There are so many million searches are happening, so many users are active, and these are like top 10 or top 20 applications. But even if you are not in top 100, still you have volumes of data, right? So how do you make sense out of it? And that is when you realize the need of using AI for your businesses. And again, it's not just data, but also in terms of hardware. And this is a report published earlier, 2018. So even that time there was a prediction that by 2025 there will be 34 billion devices, IoT devices and both non-IoT devices, right? So when you have all this kind of sensor data available, these are the kind of devices you are having, then how do you make sense out of it or derive any intelligence and define any use case or purpose for your betterment, for your personal use case or for your business, right? So now this is the number I have quoted earlier in my talk, that COVID has accelerated the digital transformation by up to close to 5.3 years. And so as per this research, this paper published by thinkwithgoogle.com, it says it's time to research, pivot, and think big, right? So earlier also, I mean, not just with COVID, because the last two articles that I've demonstrated related to acceleration in the context of COVID. But before that also, there was a push, there was a need, there was a debate that, okay, how do we do AI? Is my business AI ready? So some of these questions people are asking. But in many of these businesses, still people, I mean, change is always difficult, right? So if there's already running business, then people think, okay, we'll do AI later. But now just because, or digitization, we'll do it later. But now just because we are in the middle of this scenario, there's more pressure and there's more understanding and acceptance towards digital way of doing things, and as a result, using AI to find patterns in your data. So AI in your business. So why AI? I mean, because we have so much of data, there's a push, I mean, we have no choice. We have to do it, right? So now, very quickly, if I talk about market segments, so broadly there are three market segments: high technology, and many of examples which I have quoted earlier, say Facebook, Google, Amazon, they fall into high technology segment. Now, second, when we talk about traditional businesses, where change is a big point to consider when we talk about any kind of digitization or using AI, say banking industry, legal industry, healthcare. So healthcare is not new, right? People have been taking help of healthcare experts ever since, right? But now we have more digital way of doing it, right? So change, how, and is change easy or is it difficult? How people are coping up with it? Do they require special training if any kind of any kind of digital enablement comes in their organization or in their sector? So these are the points to be considered when we are talking about AI for your particular business or business sector. Again, emerging market, if we go for more of say agriculture use case or rural scenario, then again we know, like we had difficulty in connecting to internet, and many places internet is not there or very slow, frequent power cuts. So some of these difficulties people have, right? So reach is a big challenge, compute is a big challenge, device is a big challenge. How do we overcome any of these problems or encounter them or consider them as and when we are defining our solutions? And then further to that, if we talk about a specific industry sector, so all the industry sectors have application. If you talk about manufacturing, you may want to take care of your manufacturing plant. You may want to do predictive maintenance. You may want to know when some machine is going to fail and what preparation you have to do in advance, right? Banking, I don't have to explain, everybody is using digital way of making payments. Transportation is again, everybody is well versed of. But obviously, whatever we have, can we do something better? So that's the question that is always there. And now further to that, public safety, monitoring, education, now everybody is studying online. Is there a better way? Is there a fatigue? Is it making sense? Are people finding it challenging? What is a good mix of classroom and online education, right? So some of these questions come, and then when we talk about healthcare again, doctors say, like, my father is a medical doctor, so he says, if patient comes, I hold the hand and I feel, right? So this he cannot do in digital mode. So how people respond to any kind of digital enablement, right? Is it easy for them, or what other kind of information that they will need if they go for a fully digital way of doing things? Again, retail, people shop online, but can we do it better? Is it easy to buy clothes online? So some of these questions, and for each of the use case, we can figure it out. So I will not go into details. Probably if you have a specific questions, I'll touch upon them. But broadly, I have said that these are the market segments and these are the industry examples, and I've not covered all of them. These are some glimpses. And then there are applications of digital enablement. And also when there's a large volume of data, we can also we also understand that there will be a need to apply AI. So now I will pause here and I'll play one video, 1 minute video, to demonstrate what we understand, what we expect from AI, and what is the reality. Can you see this video? IPF, please.
Ma'am, it's still loading.
Sure. Yeah. So this video, this has actually come as part of one WhatsApp forward message, and this also has some kind of captions which are not in English, which even I don't understand. But it's very impactful video. It shows the kind of magic we expect from AI, and at the same time, the kind of setback people have when they are having those expectations, right? So by the time video loads, I will just go to the next point. And I will say that when we talk about setbacks, then it becomes responsibility for system engineers or people who are building solutions or businesses to define or understand what is their responsibility. And that is when the concept of responsible and explainable AI comes. So you can see this screen also, right? You can see my slides. Krishna?
Ma'am, I can see the slide, but can you just try sharing the video file, share file including video we tried now?
Yeah, video is loading, so I will play when it completes loading. And
but it's taking too long, ma'am. I don't know. It should have come by this time.
Yeah. What should I do?
Ma'am, just close it and try to open the share file including video option.
Yeah, that's what I have done. Yeah.
Okay, then I don't know why. Yeah. Just do it again. Otherwise, do you have a link or something? No, ma'am. It's not online, right?
It's locally saved here. So anyhow, I play it. It just shows the impact of, by the time I talk about it. So basically, this person who is walking down, climbing down the stairs, and he is stepping out, and he says, "Let it load." So basically, he says, "Okay, coffee. That coffee is made for him." So basically, machines are responding whatever is a smart home scenario. So you say light off, home locked, and all those things happen. But at a point, and then further to that, he has a dentist appointment. Home Alexa kind of system also tells him that he has an appointment. And then when he goes there and he has his dental procedure, and then when he comes back, then he's saying, "Open the door," and yeah. So I think it's clear. So it's not playing. Can you see it?
No, ma'am. It's just a blank screen. Is dark screen. This thing is coming. Okay. Is it playing at your place?
No, it's not playing. It's just frozen. Yeah. Okay. So just leave it. So basically, the person is not able. So when he comes back further to his dental procedure, he gives the same voice commands to his home, smart home, various systems, and they are not able to respond because his voice is changed after the dental procedure, and that is when I wanted to demonstrate that when we are designing a solution, so for example, in this particular video, what I wanted to demonstrate, and I will demonstrate if it works by the end of the session, that there's a beautiful home and you say make coffee and coffee is made, you say light off and light is off, and you say close door, open door, and all those commands are being followed, and I mean home is responding to you, it understands you. But maybe with a minor dental surgery, just because your voice has changed, the home is not able to understand your voice and it is not able to take your commands, right? So then you say fire, then basically music becomes fire, right? So that's the kind of response you see. And then you see that, okay, the system is not understanding me, and that is when you have a setback, right? So if you have a setback, how do you handle it? And then it becomes part of responsibility of designing of the solution. So you have to know that as a solution builder or as a business, that okay, these are the scenarios, and this is like typical risk management or basically understanding scenario in designing any of the solutions, that in these scenarios my solution is may not work, right? So how do we consider that? Have you thought of it enough? So just because you have one solution, will it work for all possible scenario, right? If you have a face recognition based, maybe it's a door opening system, and you have done some kind of makeup, or you come in hello with makeup, will it respond to you? The point, I mean, you have to think of all those scenarios and then design the solution. So that's the part of responsible and explainable AI. I don't have a slide on this point, but this was my small point that I wanted to make. And then moving to building of an AI-powered solution. So I will give two examples here, and I also have a few plots when it comes to data or model, which is part of one of my published paper earlier. I can demonstrate if there is a need. So in these two solutions, I will just theoretically talk about how do you take care of any of these possible system errors. So one first example is from our own solution, consumer solution from SunvAI. So SunvAI basically what it does is if people have a consumer issue, they can go to the portal, they can go to the website, and they can self-validate the issue. So otherwise they may not know the law, and they will not know whether the issue is valid or not, right? Legally in India, it works for Indian data as of now. So so they will not know. And initially what we had done was we had given a natural language based interface, where conversational interface, where people can type their problem, and the solution algorithm in the backend tries to make sense out of it and gets them the outcome in the way that whether their problem is valid or not valid and what they can do. So it matches with the data available, whatever is the applicable law on that day. So we had this interface, and then when we realized that okay, there's a matching error and the solution is working up to 80% accuracy, still there is a chance of 20% error. Now in this scenario, when a person is coming with a problem, you don't want to have a person having an encounter with any kind of matching, probabilistic matching error and give him any kind of wrong information. So system should either say this is the answer based on matching of the problem with applicable law and pull out the portion of the law and demonstrate to the user, or the system should say I don't know. But system cannot guess, and system cannot come up with any kind of wrong matching outcome, right? So if I'm asking about some issue with defect in product, it should not show me anything related to deficiency or maybe a late delivery issue, right? Because that was not my issue. So how do we do that? Then we redesign the interface and we disable the entering data in a natural language for this particular use case, because it has to work 100%. So you have to understand the limitation of technology when you are designing a solution. So it feels great to say, okay, I have this matching capability, but whether it will work for this use case, then we have to think through, and then we have to create a right interface for the user so that his purpose is served. So his purpose is he gets the correct answer and 100% whatever he self-validates himself. So based on his understanding of the information presented to him, he self-validates himself, and if he doesn't understand, the system will give appropriate outcome that you can take advice from lawyer or something, but it will never give wrong answer as long as user is able to identify what his problem is. So that is when we understand, okay, this is the limitation of this algorithm. It works up to 80% accuracy. There is a 20% chances of error. So let me not give this interface, input interface. Let me give a different input interface. But there's another feature called search in our portal, where we have NLP-based text input field, and where people search and they get the outcome. Again, more than 80%, in fact, it works up to 90% accuracy. That gives very good match. And for 10% error chances, just because the outcome is presented with the matching accuracy and some kind of order. So if first match is not the best match for you, you can go to the second one and you can click. So it's a mix of human intelligence and AI. So that is where we have to see what is the problem, what is the criticality. If it's a Google kind of scenario where you search something, some outcome comes and it serves some purpose, maybe the best it is not showing you the best outcome, but still it is helping you up to some extent. Or if you talk about say Facebook scenario where you upload a photo, your friend gets to see it maybe a little later. It may not be instantly visible to him, but it doesn't harm anybody, right? So in those kind of scenarios, you can straight away apply your AI algorithm and do and just proceed. But in any kind of critical scenario, the scenario, for example, I have spoken about at SunvAI, we have taken care of it differently. So where AI will work and where we have to understand where AI will not work and what is the workaround, what is the human component that we have to bring in picture. Similarly, another project that was done earlier as part of my previous employment. So here the project was that there were some few healthcare volunteers in a rural scenario, and they have to collect data and they have to do voice-based reporting. And in a rural scenario, which is very noisy, the basically recognition error is very high in case of voice recognition. Then we knew that if we do voice-based authentication and reporting, the authentication will have high chances of error. Reporting is still we can have a mix and match of, okay, there is a machine generated recognition of reported data, and then manually human validate it. So that's the kind of system we can come up with. But for verification, we chose to go with fingerprint simply because the kind of noise you have, the kind of accuracy you have in voice-based authentication on phone, on feature phone, in rural scenario, you will not, so basically fingerprint-based authentication will work better as compared to voice-based. So at one end, the voice-based authentication will sound more high-tech as compared to fingerprint, but when it comes to accuracy, we have to go with what works or what gives better outcome. So that is when we have to understand the limitation and use case, and properly build these building blocks and come up with a final system or solution. So very briefly, I covered some of the points where we understand how and when AI will not work, and how we take care of that when we are designing solutions. So talking about the journey of your business, when we talk about when we talk about AI journey, so these are the few points that you have to see if you are talking about the when and how to apply AI in your business. Many businesses are fully digital. So if we talk about some of these high-tech companies, fintech, also many companies like Citibank, I've never been visited the bank branch, right? So they are fully digital. They work remotely. They work in fully digital mode. But in some of the businesses, they are in between. Some of the businesses, they are fully physical. They don't have much digital, and their digital is only maybe just scanning the document and keeping it somewhere. There's no processing on documents. Those documents are not even searchable, right? So where is your business? Is it digital, physical, or in between? That's first identification you have to do when it comes to your AI journey. Second, data. Do you have data? Is your data meaningful? People think they have data, but not all data will make sense. For example, you understand English, I'm speaking English, you can understand what I'm speaking. But if I start talking in, say, Spanish, you may not be able to make sense out of it, right? Because you don't understand. So similarly, is data making sense for the use case that you are trying to solve? And are you capturing all the parameters, right? So for example, we uploaded this particular voice video and maybe it's not uploading, it's not playing, right? So basically your data is incomplete. Then so basically you don't have complete data. So similarly, when in many businesses, even though you have lot of data, just because you are not capturing certain parameters, maybe your data is not complete, and it will not give you the required outcome just because you are not even capturing those parameters, right? So that is other exercise that your business or maybe respective stakeholders or maybe unit managers, they have to figure out and they have to understand this, right? And third thing is, are you using data-driven insights? Even if people have data, even if they are in some state of being digital, and are you using data-driven insight? Are you using it only using your Excel macros, or are you actually using AI? Is it working for you, right? So some of these questions you have to see, and based on that, you have to understand what you have to do, right? If you're already digital, you have meaningful data, and you are using AI-driven insights, obviously you have no problem. You just have to continue with that. But if it is not the case, then very well, your next step depends on that. So how do you identify what should be your next step? So first thing you have to understand, do you have basic automation or not? Many businesses, even today, they do not have basic automation, right? And there are critical services that we count on, and they do not have basic automation or very limited automation. The data collection is not sufficient. They are not collecting data. So are you collecting data? So after you do basic automation, you have to start collecting data. Only when you have data, then only you have to understand whether data is meaningful or not. And the next step comes is data cleaning. So data is very important. The work on data is very important. And further to that, you understand whether now do I have data? And again, you have to have significant data. Let me give you this example. Some of you who are parents or who have played with children, you understand that just because you tell something to your child one time, the child will not be able to follow. You have to tell it multiple times. Similarly, when it comes to AI, it has to train based on data, and it requires so many enough number of samples. So if you don't have data, or you just, like many people, I come across with, yeah, okay, I have this file, can you do AI, right? So you can't do AI on one file, right? So basically you have to have data, you have to have enough variation on data, you have to have meaningful data, the data has to reflect your purpose, those parameters have to be collected. So if I'm doing face recognition, the face image has to be taken in proper lighting. If face image is taken in not in some kind of dark environment, it is not meaningful data, right? So these are very important parameters to understand and to consider. And then you build algorithms, you deploy, you see how much or how effective they are, whether they are working up to 60% accuracy or 80% accuracy, 90% accuracy, where you need refinement. So these are some of the steps you have to do. And then further to that, you say what should be my action item for AI system. So just because you have data, it will not do magic, right? So you still have to use same data but for different purpose, right? So if I talk about say for example take voice. So if I'm talking in my voice, you can understand many things. You can understand what I'm speaking, what language I'm speaking with. Up to some extent, you can also understand some emotional state or maybe my native language impact. So a lot of these parameters, a lot of these understandings or maybe insights can be derived out of one single data, right? But for deriving all these insights, the algorithm, the system, the engine, which will derive all these individual insights, they will be different engines, right? So, what is the purpose? Do I want to understand what what the language is, or do I want to understand the content in it, or do I want to understand the emotional state? So you need to do, you will need to build different systems for different purposes. So action item defining is very important. And next is, where do you bring human intelligence? So for repetitive tasks where there is not much variability, your AI system will work. When it's not a very critical use case, AI system will give very good outcome. Like we have examples of many of these companies who are like value so much. So because they serve purpose, right? And there's a lot of data, and they have the capability to solve some use case for that. But if it's a critical case, then it may not work. And then how and where you will apply human intelligence. So these are some of the steps you have to think through when you're talking about the AI journey for your particular business. And now I just, how much time we have, based on that we can take questions or detail on any of these points based on your requirement. I see there's a question on bias, right? Recommendation. So there's a typical example that is given when it comes to, so for example, you talk about handling data in workplace, and then there's a bias, gender bias. So when you know that certain parameters will enforce bias, then how do you encounter that? Simple way to do that is do not take those parameters. For example, if you have a resume which talks about name, native place, gender, and so on, just because you know your data is likely to have a gender bias, you will not, you should like disqualify that particular parameter and where you have data on rest of the parameters, which will talk about more other credentials as compared to maybe gender bias. So that's like one way to do that. So there's a question, how much AI can we do without violating data privacy? So data privacy, there's a bill pending in Parliament, Act will come. And if you are talking about GDPR, there are regulations defined. We have to follow them if you are doing business in that particular region. And in India, based on whatever is the regional, I mean, before the Data Privacy Bill Act comes up, we have to follow the law. And as per law, I mean, if you talk about principle on being ethical, it's good to not to take any data which is not required by your system, number one. Number two, if you are collecting data for a purpose, say for example, if I'm taking data at SunvAI for a purpose of validating your maybe consumer issue, then I should use it only for that purpose. I should not use it for any other purpose. I should not go around selling the data. I should not share it with any third party without your permission or without informing you. So those are the basic principles of ethics which have to be followed and which will also be part of the act. So that's how it comes to data. And when you talk about how much AI can we do, it's basically the use cases, as long as you are following these principles, that much AI you can do. Yeah, so you talk about data is being used, and so there's a question, all our browsing data is being used, and then there are so many emails spam and ads, which is not fair, right? So basically what happens when you're signing up on a portal, they write their terms and condition, or maybe you accept cookies for a purpose, and somewhere it will be written that, okay, for what purpose they will use data. Yes, there have been examples when data is sold, and that is when this act is, the Data Privacy Act will be very important, because some of these things will be looked at more strictly at that point of time. But people are being cautious at this point of time. In fact, company's valuation goes down if you are not following some of these principles. So, so now there's more caution, but in past, people have freely shared data for various other purposes. Yeah. Any more questions? If there are no questions, if it appears to you, I will show some of the plots when it comes to processing data, maybe building AI solutions. If you are interested, I will show that. Maybe you can say yes in the chat, and if there are enough number of people interested, I will show that. It will take 5 minutes. Yeah, sure. So, yeah, so, yeah. So here I will just show some pictures, and this is part of one of my work which was done for classifying audio into 5 classes of 5 classes, the TV audio. So the classes were cartoon, music, cricket, football, and news. These were the 5 classes, and I have to take data from TV in the video and take the audio out of it, and my algorithm has to identify. And so that was the purpose, and the data was audio data. So basically we take video, we take audio from the video signal, and we apply our algorithm. An algorithm will say whether it's a news clip that was given to algorithm, or it's a football clip, or it's a cricket clip, or cartoon or music. That was the requirement. Now, I just want some of you who do not come from the background of AI and machine learning or have never worked in data, for them it's good to know, because even though people know how to call some of the Python APIs and they are able to do some reasonable, define some reasonable use case and get some outcome, but it's very important to understand when you talk about building further refined systems, or at least yeah, I will take this question after I show these pictures. There's a question on AI in rural area. Dialects and accent can be used earlier. Yes. So these are different individual research problems, and for each of them we have to build the solutions. And I will show you some of these pictures. So I will not go into details, but very quickly. So this is how the audio signal looks. So I just spoke that there were 5 classes. So visually you see, if I'm plotting these signals, and here some pre-processing is done on audio signal. So I take the video, and from video I extract the audio, do some pre-processing, and visually you see it looks different, right? So now I have to come up with a model which understands this pattern and gives me outcome. What is the outcome? Whether it's a cartoon or cricket or football or news or ad. And if I further do this plot in a 3-dimensional space,
4 o'clock.
Yeah. So how much more time we have?
Ma'am, you can take, ma'am. Yeah, no issues here.
So if we do plot this data, so you see these colors, and these are like 4 perspectives of the plotting of the same data. So the pink color, magenta color that you see is for news, audio clips, and the black color for football. The cricket is green, the ad is red, and last one is TV commercials. And you see that up to some extent they are overlapping, but still they are occupying a particular region in this particular 3-dimensional space, right? So in one particular perspective, if you see, they are more overlapping. In other perspective, you see them being separated, right? So algorithm, basically what algorithm does, algorithm understands whether they are separable, not separable, are they forming any pattern, and wherever you see some kind of overlap, if you can see my mouse move, you see that some of the black points are coming here, right? So these are the football clips which will be misidentified, right? Misclassified if I'm running my AI algorithm. And similarly, if some of the news clips, news maturity, if you see this particular, the 4th picture, the bottom right, you see that most of the news is staggered in a section, but there is a point here far away, and this is the news clip which will be misidentified, right? So this is where the part of explanation comes. And when you manually go back to that particular clip and you listen to it, then you will understand maybe it was having more silence, or maybe in news they were showing some kind of cricket clip coming in between and so on, and that is how it is being misclassified, right? So basically, understanding of data, or how data looks, or how the feel of data gives you better building a better system. This is another perspective. Here again, do not try to see the labels which I have used, because focus is more onto the visual, the data, the colors. So in the bottommost part, if you see, when I'm plotting my data, all these 5 clips, they are basically overlapping, right, on top of each other. And if any of you have interest in this particular paper, I will share the link. And so you see that they are being overlapped in the bottom graph. But if you see in the top, they are being separated. Now what happens between bottom to top? We have applied an algorithm, right? There was a neural network model which was applied, which created this kind of separation. So this is the purpose of algorithm. So you see that news goes on the top, football remains in the bottom. Green color is very close to football. Both of them are justified because they are a sports category, they have noise. And in between you see presence of cartoon and other one, the TV commercials, right? So this is how you see it separate. And further you apply more refined algorithm, then you see them forming a separate line. So what the algorithm, the neural network model, or any of those AI algorithms do, they take your bottommost data, which is like highly intensely overlapped, and try to separate them for a purpose where we want to classify it, and come up with a very fine separation, not just this overlapping separation, because if we talk about this overlapping separation, still we see a lot of, so here accuracy will be low. We want high accuracy. We further refine our models, and we come up with very good accuracy in our system. So now you see that initial part of the plot, where you also see a blow up in the bottom picture, that accuracy is high. And then you also see at some place they are overlapping, and those are the points, those are the clips which will fail, which will give you some kind of error in your algorithm. And how the system is built, so this is a neural network model. So for one particular clip, if you talk about the compute, so for this is the visual of the neural network model. So there are this is a 5-layer model, and there are 40 nodes in the input layer, output layer 40 nodes. So basically I am passing 40 data points at a point in one go, and we call it window size. And then in between there are 3 hidden layers, which is 48, 12, and 48. So those many computes, 40 multiplied by 48 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 48 multiplied by 40. So when I pass one 40 that window, one window, those many computes will be required. And now more data I had. In earlier pictures, we have seen that we are talking about 41.7 million WhatsApp messages being sent. If I have to apply this kind of neural network on those kind of data points, you think of that compute, right? And that is when we see that, okay, data center is somewhere in the sea, right? Right? Because there's so much of energy requirement to do so much of compute. So it's good for you to know, even though you may not do it immediately, but at least you will appreciate that this is the kind of investment you have to do, either in compute or in terms of skill set, in order to achieve your target objective. And this is how this one of the question was that for rural scenario, we have to do dialect and accent recognition. So in a simple audio indexing system, this is how it works, right? So this is what I've shown you earlier, that was like audio classification. This is audio indexing system. And in a simple audio indexing system, you see how many building blocks. There is speaker recognition, segmentation building blocks, because many people are talking. You want to segment this person and the next person, and further to the third person. And then you identify the speech, you group them together if there's a conversation, you identify speaker, you also link a name to the person, then you say, okay, this is where our Prime Minister is speaking, this is where our some businessman is speaking, right? So, and then you identify the topic, you say, okay, this topic, this conversation on the topic of AI, this conversation is about cricket, right? And then you say, okay, how do I identify the story? So even in AI, am I talking about audio related matter, or am I talking about, say, some kind of manufacturing scenario? How do you apply AI in manufacturing, right? So these will be different components. These will be the building blocks for you to build any kind of system. And these are some of the old pictures, because some of the current work I cannot show because of confidentiality. So this is like earlier published paper, and I'm just taking the picture for your understanding. But overall, broad picture still remains the same. And similarly, if you talk about rural scenario, you will see that accent is to be recognized. So there will be another block which will identify accent. There will be a block which will identify language in country like India, whether you are speaking Marathi or you are speaking Telugu. So that recognition. So basically, those many components you will have, and then multiple systems. And again, don't try to read what is written in the text. It just, you see that if there are two systems, in one scenario, one system works better, in other scenario, other system works better, and there is an overlap. So for a better accuracy, if you use system 1, you are missing out what system 2 is likely to give you. And if you are only using system 2, then you are missing on another part of system 1. So basically, in order to build a very good solution or high accuracy solution, you have to build multiple systems and integrate them together. So just to have some assessment on number, if you see these colored highlighted points, and this was again coming back to my audio work. So you see in particular scenario, the system 1 is for football, you see, is giving only 40% recognition accuracy. But another model is giving 75% accuracy. And when I do a combination of those two systems, I get 87% accuracy if I apply one algorithm. And I get 91% accuracy if I apply another algorithm, right? So it's not just calling two commands, it's basically a lot of engineering which goes behind. Then you get some accuracy. And now if I say I have 91% accuracy, then in order to make it 93%, again, lot of work will be required. And it's never 100%, and that is when the human intelligence or human intervention is very, very important. Yeah. So these are some of the points I had to show, just to make you appreciate. If you already know, it's good, you will be able to relate to it. But if you have no background, at least to make you appreciate what goes behind, how much resources, how much compute, how much skill set is required for you to rightly employ people or resources, and be basically able to meet your objective. Yeah. So with that, I'm done. I have no more slides to show. I will just see if video is loaded. No, it's not yet loaded. So yeah. Yeah. So any more question I will take. Otherwise, yeah, I have pretty much covered everything I had to cover.
Yeah, we don't have any more questions, ma'am. I think.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for taking your time and presenting us the webinar.
I hope it was.
I can see, yeah, ma'am. I can see the comments. People are, I think you are also able to see that, saying thanks for all the information. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are some of the recognitions for us at SunvAI in 2020. And SunvAI received a GIPC award in January this year. And in February, I received an award as 51 Global Smart City Leader. And we have recently rolled out a consumer solution. And one of the features is also available in Hindi. Do check it out, share your feedback, and feel free to reach out to me for any further doubts. I will be very happy to clarify your doubt or reply to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.